Good morning, guys. Guess what? This is it, the day we've all been waiting for. Chapter 7, Test Review. I know some of you will be thrilled to be done with this chapter, all right? So let's do a really quick review. And what I'm going to recommend you do is I'm going to recommend that you pause after I give you instructions. I'll tell you when to pause. You try to solve it on paper and then push play again and see if you got the right answer. It might be the easiest way. I've also included an optional chapter review on big ideas if you want to do that. So I would say either one of the two, all right, would probably be an easy way to tackle this review. All right, couple things to remember. We always start with that. If I were you, I would make a list of shapes and the formula needed to find the area, surface area, or volume of that shape. All right, that prism, parallelogram, kites, all of that. Use square units in area and cubed units in volume. Don't forget that. And I think on big ideas, most of that's there. You're just punching in a number. Prisms have a base that is the same on the top and bottom, and the shape is identified by the base. So we're either going to have a triangular prism or a rectangular prism. Pyramids will have a square or a triangle base, and all the sides will be equilateral triangles for this chapter. All right. Surface area is the area of each face of the shape added together. Volume is the amount of space within the shape. All right, now here's where I want you to be willing to pause the video once I get you started, and I'll tell you when. All right. Let's go ahead and look at our very first shape. We have a parallelogram, all right, and they want us to find the area of this shape. Now, we should know that the formula is A equals BH. Pause the video and solve it. All right, now hopefully you plugged in your numbers really easily of 9 times 5. And hopefully you got 45 centimeters squared. If you got that, you did it exactly correct. All right, now let's find the area of a triangle. And again, you should know that the formula is A equals 1/2 base times height. All right, so the 1/2, my base is 10, and my height is 16. Pause the video and see if you get the right answer. Now on this one, I would have found half of 16, and I would have said 8 times 10, and I would have gotten 80 kilometers squared. You could have said half of 10 is 5 and 5 times 16. Either one is correct, but that's just what I would have done. All right, so hopefully you got 80 kilometers squared. All right, now here is our trapezoid, and we know it's a trapezoid because it has a flat base and a flat top, and the sides are not the same, okay? So it's an odd-looking shape. Now, what is the formula for a trapezoid? Does everyone remember? It is A equals 1/2 of the height, and then in parentheses, you have times plus base 1 plus base 2. All right, so 1/2 of the height times base 1 plus base 2 is added together first because it's in parentheses. Don't forget that. Let's go ahead and plug in our numbers. So we're going to have 1/2 of the height. And there were some questions earlier about this. I know my base is 6 and my other base is 15. My height is where the right angle is formed, okay, right here, and it is not one of the bases. So in this case, it has to be 1/2 of 10. Base 1 is 6 and base 2 is 15. All right, 1/2 of 10 is, oh, I forgot to tell you to pause, but hopefully you knew to do that. 1/2 of 10 is 5 times what is 6 plus 15? It's 21. That's correct. And 5 times 21 is 105 meters squared. All right, now the kite, and this seems to be what gets some of you very confused. I want you to remember that we are going to divide this kite going this way. And whatever our base is going to be the base for the larger triangle, and it's going to be the base for the smaller triangle. All right, so let's go ahead and let's write our formula first. We need to find triangle 1 plus triangle 2. All right, so our area will be triangle 1 plus triangle 2. Now pause the video and see if you can do it. All right, what you should have done is you're using the formula for a triangle, 1/2 of the base times the height. So when I look at this, my base is 10 plus 10, or 20. And my height for the small triangle is 9. Plus 1/2 of 20 again, the base for the larger triangle, and this time my height is 21. All right, so 1/2 of 20 is 10 times 9, correct? That's going to give me 90. 1/2 of 20 again is 10 times 21. And we know anytime we multiply a number by 10, all we do is write that number with a 0 after it. So that would be 210. And when I add those together, I'm going to get 300. We're dealing with inches squared. So my area of this kite is 300 inches squared. All right, now you need to be able to count faces, edges, and vertices. So you're looking at this rectangular prism. Keep that in mind, rectangular prism. So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can get the right number of faces, edges, and vertices. All right, when I'm looking at this, I know I have a top and a bottom, so that's 2, and I have 4 sides. 4 plus 2 is 6. I have 6 flat surfaces. If I was counting the edges, I would think of line segments. How many lines is it going to take me to draw this? 4 for the top, 4 for the bottom, and then 4 for the connecting sides. So that would be 12 edges. Vertices are my corners, my pointy corners. I have 4 pointy corners on the top, and I have 4 on the bottom. 4 plus 4 is 8. All right, now look at this. You have a pyramid. All right, pause the video and see if you can come up with how many faces, edges, and vertices. Now when I'm looking at this, I look at the shape of the base. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. It's a pentagon or a pentagonal pyramid. All right, well, a pentagon has 5 sides, 5 edges. So that means I'm going to have 5 triangles coming off of it. So that's 5 plus the flat surface of the bottom. So I have 6 faces. Now, how many line segments? Well, it takes 5 line segments just to make the base. And then I'm going to have my triangles. So 5 plus 5 is 10 edges. Then my vertices are my points. Well, I have 5 points on the bottom and I have 1 point at the top. So I have 6 vertices. All right, now we're going to find surface area of a couple of prisms. We're going to do a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. All right, so when you go to do this, always come up with your number of faces first. And anytime you have a rectangular prism, you're going to have 6 faces. All right, and then I recommend you go ahead and label them. Top, bottom, front, back, and then your 2 sides. And because everything is a rectangle, my only formula will be length times width. All right, pause the video and see what you get. All right, now, if I was finding this, I would have said my bottom first, or my top and my bottom are the same. It is 7 across by 2 inches. So it's going to be 7 times 2 for the top and the bottom. For my front, look at your front panel. And what I mean by the front is the side that's facing you. That's your front. Your front and your back are going to be the same. It is 7 across the bottom, and it is 4 high. So 7 times 4. And that's going to be the same for the back. Okay? Now, if I'm going to find the measurement for my sides, I'm going to look here, here. I know it's 4 inches tall by 2 inches on the bottom. So I'm going to be saying 2 times 4. And I'm going to add all those up. All right, so I'm going to have 14, 14, 28, 28, 8 plus 8. And when I add all of that together, it's going to come to a grand total of 100 inches squared. So if you got that, you're figuring it out exactly correct. All right, let's look at our triangular prism. All right, that means I'm going to have to use the formula for the triangle, 1/2 base times height for 2, the bases. And they have it laying on its side. Remember, everything else, and there'll be 3 sides, are going to be rectangles or parallelograms. All right? So be careful when you're thinking that one through. All right. So let's look at this. We know then that means that we have a top and a bottom, and we have 3 sides. So we have 5 faces. All right? So that means I should have 5 numbers I'm adding together. All right, the first one I know is going to be, let's go ahead and write our words, top, bottom, and then I'm going to have 3 sides. And remember, in a prism, it doesn't mean all the sides are the same. So you have to be careful. All right, so my top, or my first rectangle, and my bottom will be the same. And it's going to be 1/2, the base is 5, and it's telling me that the height is 6. So 1/2 of 5 times 6. Now let's look at our side. Let's go ahead and look at the side that's highlighted. What do we know it is across the bottom? 8 times 6.5. All right, and my other side will be the same. All right, so I will have 2 of them that will be 8 times 6.5. The bottom base is going to be different. It's going to be 5 times 8. And let me just outline that one for you in case you're having a hard time seeing that. What I mean is this base right here, the bottom, all right? So now I'm going to go ahead and multiply. I would say 1/2 of 6 is 3, and 3 times 5 is 15, so I have 2 of those. Then I have 8 times 6.5, and if you did the math right, you got 52. And 5 times 8 is 40. And when I add all those up, you should have 174 feet squared. Okay, so your surface area is 174 feet squared. All right, now they want us to find the surface area of prisms. All right, we have a triangular prism and a square prism. All right, so again, we're going to come up with our number of faces. And with a triangle, I have a triangular base, that's 1. And since it's a 3-sided figure, there's 3 triangles coming off it. So I have a total of 4 faces. Okay, so I have my base. And on this is where all the sides are the same. So you could either say side times 3, or you can, if you like to add, you can add side plus side plus side. Pause the video and see if you can figure this out. For the base, and remember, all of these are triangles, so it's always going to be 1/2 of. The base is 8. And the height is 6.9. All right, and then my sides are 1/2 of 8 times 10. All right, so 1/2 of 8 is 4, and 4 times 6.9 is 27.6. 1/2 of 10 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Now be careful. Make sure you're lining up decimals. All right, make sure you're lining them up correctly or you will not get the right answer. And when you add them all together, you should get 147.6 meters squared. All right, and the last thing we need to practice is finding volume or a missing dimension, okay? And you should know that volume is equal to length times width times height. Pause the video now and solve this. All right, so you should have volume equals 5/2 times 3/2 times 4/3. Multiply all your numerators together. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 4 is 60. And then multiply all your denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. This is an improper fraction. I reduce it by dividing 12 into 60. It goes exactly 5 times. My unit of measure is feet, and because it's volume, I am cubing it. So 5 feet cubed. Hopefully you got that answer. All right, now if they're asking you to find a missing dimension, remember, start off with your formula first. And we're still working with volume, so we still are working with V equals L times W times H. All right, so fill in your numbers, pause the video, see if you can solve for the missing dimension. All right, in the video, in the notes, they tell me that my volume is 150 cubic feet, so that's feet cubed. And I know I need all these measurements, so I have a 5, I have a 4, I don't have my length. And remember, use a capital L so you don't mistake it for the number 1. All right, I'm going to go ahead and simplify. 150 equals 20 times L. I'm going to divide both sides by 20. I'm going to get L equals, you could just do this. That's as if you divided by 10 already. 2 goes into 15, 7 1/2 times. Or if you chose to use the decimal, you could have 7.5. Our unit of measure is feet. So you could have either had 7.5 feet or 7.5 feet.